The road to Black Hollow Manor twisted like a dying snake through the darkening forest. As the evening sun bled out behind the skeletal trees, our van's headlights painted long, silver streaks over the damp gravel. There were 5 of us, 5 friends, all laughing just a bit too loudly. A flimsy shield against the cold that seemed to seep into the very frame of the vehicle the deeper we drove. It was Ethan's idea. Of course, he was our self-appointed leader, always chasing the next big thrill. "One night, guys," he'd said, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "We film it. Prove all the ghost stories are just that, stories. And boom, we go viral." Sitting beside him in the passenger seat, I chewed my lip, a nervous habit I couldn't shake. I was Maya, the cautious one, the voice of reason that was always drowned out by the chorus of adventure. The manor had stood abandoned for over 60 years. Local legend was grim and absolute. No one who entered its grounds after sunset ever returned. In the back, Ryan, Lila, and Noah were trying to fill the growing silence with bad jokes, all of us pretending not to notice as our phone signals vanished, bar by disappearing bar. Then, it materialized from the Foga rusted archway, its nameplate somehow pristine. Black Hollow 1874. The letters looked like they'd been carved just yesterday. Perched atop the arch, a single crow watched us pass, its head cocked, as if in judgment, as our van crunched up the cracked, weed-choked driveway. The mansion itself rose like a corpse from the mist. Its windows were shattered, like vacant eyes, and thick ivy strangled its stone walls. A macabre embrace, but something was wrong. A faint light shimmered behind one of the upper floor curtains, a soft, welcoming glow, as though the house had been expecting us. We climbed out of the van, and the air immediately felt different, heavy, with a strange, metallic taste. Then we heard it. From deep inside the silent structure, a door slammed shut with a deafening bang. There was no wind. Ethan, ever the professional, was already setting up his camera. "All right, team," he announced, his voice a little too loud in the dead quiet. "This is night 1 at Black Hollow Manor. Locals say the entire family vanished during a seance back in 1922. We're here to find out what really happened." He pushed open the massive oak doors, and the sound that greeted us wasn't the creak of old hinges. It was a long, slow, guttural sound, like something ancient exhaling. Inside, the air was thick with dust motes that danced in our flashlight beams, like tiny, captured spirits. A grand staircase dominated the foyer, splitting in 2 to climb into the oppressive darkness above. The walls were lined with portraits, but the eyes of every figure had been savagely scratched out. Creepy interior design choice. Ryan Mutared, his flashlight beam trembling in his hand. Leela, drawn to a grand piano in the corner, brushed her fingers over the dusty keys. Then, we all froze. The keys pressed down by themselves, softly, deliberately. Not a single one of us was near it. A deep, resonant hum vibrated up through the floorboards, a physical presence we could feel in our bones. And then, it stopped. The silence that followed was so absolute, so heavy, you could hear the frantic drumming of your own heart. "Did you feel that?" My voice was a fragile whisper. It felt like the house moved. Shaken, we pressed on, following a long corridor lined with identical closed doors. Some opened into rooms stripped bare, echoing and empty. Others refused to budge, no matter how hard we pushed, as if something immense was pressing back from the other side. At the very end of the hall, we found it, a mirror, taller than any of us, draped in a heavy, dust-covered sheet. Ethan, with a flair for the dramatic, reached out and pulled the cloth away. The glass beneath was impossibly clean, spotless. But as we stared, a cold dread trickled down my spine. Our reflections were lagging, moving just half a second behind us. Noah's whisper was ragged. "Guys, My reflection. It's still staring. We all turned to look. Noah had turned away from the mirror, his face pale with fear, but his reflection remained, a slow, predatory smile spreading across its face. We ran. The nervous laughter was long gone, replaced by choked gasps. Ethan's camera, still clutched in his hand, flickered. When he frantically reviewed the footage, what he saw made his blood run cold. The mirror on the screen wasn't reflecting us at all. It showed a different room, a room filled with lit candles and cryptic symbols drawn on the floor in what looked disturbingly like blood. Against my better judgment, the group decided our next stop should be the basement. If the family had held seances, that's where the answers would be. As we descended the rickety wooden steps, the powerful beams of our flashlights and phones dimmed, casting a sickly, greenish glow on the damp stone walls around us. Water dripped from ancient pipes that snaked across the ceiling, pipes that shouldn't have even existed in a house this old. At the bottom we found what we were looking for, a circle of old, wooden chairs. Each had a name crudely carved into its back. All but one of them had been charred by some long-ago fire. Looks like someone was missing from the party, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Then Ryan, in a stupid, desperate attempt to break the tension, sat down in the one unburned chair. Guess I'm the guest of honor, he joked. Instantly, the temperature plummeted. Our breath plumed in the air like smoke, and one by one, the candles from the video feed Ethan had seen in the mirror lit themselves, their flames casting dancing, monstrous shadows around the circle. Get up, man. Get out of the chair, Noah screamed, made his voice cracking. Ryan, Trey, he pushed against the armrests, his face contorting in panic. I can't. I'm stuck, he yelled, and we watched in horror as his hands seemed to melt into the wood. Dark, black veins crawling up his arms beneath his skin. His pupils rolled back into his head, leaving only the whites. The symbols carved into the floor began to glow with a faint, pulsing red light, beating in time with our terrified hearts. Ethan lunged forward, trying to pull Ryan free, and in that exact moment, every single candle extinguished at once. We were plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The only thing we could hear was whispering. It came from all around us, hundreds of voices murmuring in a sibilant, ancient language none of us could understand. When our flashlights finally sputtered back to life, the chair was empty. Ryan was gone. A trail of small, wet footprints led away from the circle and up the basement stairs, but they were too small. Far too small to be human. We stood there, paralyzed in the silence, the impossible reality crashing down on us. The house wasn't just haunted, it was hungry, and it had just had its first taste. Thank you so much for joining us on this terrifying journey. If you want to see what happens next, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single terrifying update from Black Hollow Manor. Stay safe out there.